Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm just going to go over my two bikes in a little bit more detail about their builds. Yeah, let's get into it. All right, so the first bike is the Cannondale SuperSix here. So we got it in the stand. So starting with the shifters and brakes, we're running the new SRAM Force Access in the iridescent color. And these ones have the smaller hood shape like the SRAM rival hoods, so I do actually prefer these. Just the smaller design, I don't know, it's just more ergonomic to me. Yeah, so then moving on, we have the Momo Designs Cannondale collaboration for their ZR1 bar. This is the new bar that came out with the SuperSix Evo. I mean, it looks really slick. The carbon layup matches the top tube quite a bit, so it looks pretty good when you're riding the bike and looking down at it. So move on to the Selle. This is a Selle Italia SLR Boost Superflow. Short nose saddle, pretty thin all in all. I don't know, I just get on with it really well. I run it on all my bikes. So we got the proprietary Cannondale bottle cages that come with two 600 milliliter bottles. They fit the down tube width so that the bottle doesn't protrude. Something to do with aerodynamics. I don't know. I might give up on them at some point and just put in regular round cages and run normal bottles because that's just simpler. Alright, so getting on to the drivetrain. So I'm running the new SRAM Force for both the rear derailleur and the front derailleur. Yeah, I really enjoy the SRAM Access system as a whole when it comes to just having the batteries be on the derailleurs themselves and charging them. Now, personally, I have never run Shimano Di2 because I have fallen in love with SRAM Access, so I put SRAM Access on every bike. So I don't really have anything to compare it to personally other than a Shimano 105. Mechanical is what I originally was riding, and I got nothing against mechanical. I just vastly prefer wireless electronic shifting. So on the rear derailleur, we are running a Nova Ride OSPW. Purely for looks, because I mean, I believe these are like a 1 watt savings, but I definitely run it more for the aesthetic. I think they look really good with the carbon fiber cage and the oversized pulley wheels. I just think look good personally. Yeah, so moving on to the crankset. So we are running SRAM Red crank arms with an Alugear 4834 tooth chainring. Now I really do like these chainrings a lot because a 4810, because SRAM's smallest cog is a 10. A 4810 is, from what I've read, equivalent to pushing a 5211. Now, the math could be wrong there. It's just what I've heard. So, I mean, 4810, you still gotta be pushing out the watts in order to hit that. And then since it's not a SRAM chain set, SRAM runs a 13 tooth gap, so I think they have a 4835. But having the 4834, the 3433, which is on this bike with the 10 to 33 SRAM Force cassette, gives me also 1-to-1, so climbing hills is pretty easy. But the current wheel set that's on this bike is the ZIPP 404 Firecrest, which these are not the wheels that will be on here. The wheels for this bike are still in the mail, which will be the 353 NSWs, and I will probably sell these or keep these, depending on if I want to run a deeper section carbon wheel versus the super lightweight 353s, although the 353s are meant to be super aerodynamic basically in addition to being super lightweight. So yeah, basically the only thing that's going to change on here are the wheels. But yeah, that's this bike more in depth. I do run Garmin power pedals, so on this one I'm running the dual-sided Garmin Vector 3, so they're slightly older power meter pedals. I have no complaints with them. But yeah, to me it's just easier to run a pedal-based power meter because you can swap it between bikes. So if you have multiple like I've had in the past with a TT bike, you could just take the pedals off, throw it on that bike, and then that bike's got a power meter on it too. So you don't have to have two spindle-based power meters. But yeah, that's it for this bike. Let's go ahead and get the Ventum in the stand, and then we'll go over that one. All right, so we got the Ventum GS1 here in the stand. So this is actually a bike that I built up recently, and the frame was on clearance because this is the 2022 Ventum GS1 frame set. So you get it for steel straight from Ventum. But yeah, so that made this frame set somewhat affordable. Yeah, but let's run through it. Starting with the shifters and brakes again. This is running the first gen SRAM Force shifters and brakes. They're a bit bulkier than the newer generation SRAM Force stuff, but they're still fine. I mean, they give you more control for riding gravel and stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's more to hang on to, so when you're on trails, it's not too bad. You don't notice it too much. For this one, we are running an FSA bar and stem combination, and it is fully internal through here. And this is the FSA SMR Stem with the FSA SLK compact bars, if I believe correctly. And these are the 400 millimeter width, but they measure to 38 on the hoods and 40 in the drops. So just keep that in mind if you want to run these bars. And I'm running a 100 mil stem on here. But yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be 38 on the hoods, so they're slightly narrower than my old gravel bike, but it's a welcome change because it's a comfortable bar, it's a comfortable width. It's still good. Yeah. Alright, so moving on to the saddle. So we are running a Selle Italia SLR Boost Superflow again, but this one is with titanium rails instead of the carbon rails that you saw on the SuperSix. It's a beautiful slate blue with some green lettering on here. There's a top tube mount for a bag. There's 2 water bottles, and then there is also a water bottle mount on the down tube if you wanted to mount a third cage if you were bike packing or something. So moving on to the drivetrain, we are running the SRAM Force Access Explore rear derailleur. Now this is obviously the Gen 2, so it's the iridescent, so it doesn't quite match the shifters and hoods, but I don't mind. And then we are also running a Nova Ride OSPW on this one as well. And we are running the 10-44 Force Explorer cassette with a wolf tooth 42 tooth chainring up front with Easton EC90SL carbon cranks. And then the Garmin XC100 single-sided power metered pedals with the Shimano SPD cleats. I have no complaints about the SRAM Explorer group set. Yeah, I enjoy the range of 10-44, and if I wanted to have more range, I would honestly just go down to a 40-tooth chainring instead of it. And then if I really needed more range, you could get a GX Eagle Access derailleur and the 10-55 or 10-50 cassette on the back. So this bike is running ZIPP 303S wheels, which I have only one complaint about, is that the rear hub, the stock rear hub on the ZIPP 303S wheel, it has 36 points of engagement, and it's when you are backpedaling and forward pedaling to kind of keep balance on trails to avoid objects and all that stuff, you can feel that full 10 degrees. It feels like a lot. So on these ones particularly, I upgraded the rear hub to the ZR1, which is the same as the 303 Firecrest, and it's much better. It's got 66 points of engagement. It's about six degrees. It's much less, and it's much easier to just kind of hold balance and avoid objects. So my real only regret with this entire build is maybe going with the 303 Firecrest reels off the bat, but I think the 303S reels on the road would be perfectly fine because you're not necessarily backpedaling, forward pedaling in order to keep balance all that often, or like when you're track standing and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I just think on when you're riding trails, you want the higher points of engagement. But yeah, those are my 2 bikes. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.